So this is Lamplight City. Brand new game. Moderately brand new game anyway. I have a review copy, but I think it's already been released. And I haven't played it at all. So we'll see how far I go. This is by the guy, I believe, who did Shardlight, but this is not a Wadjet game. Let's see.
Rough night?
Bit too much Bollingworth ale is all. That stuff really creeps up on you.
Sorry I couldn't join you, but I was long overdue for a quiet night in with Addie.
That's fine. There'll be plenty of other opportunities. Hell, maybe Adelaide can even join us. It's been ages since she last drank me under the table.
Afraid she mostly sticks to tea these days.
Miles, what exactly is it we're looking into? I may have dozed off during the briefing.
You sleep through the briefings?
Sure, it's really not that difficult. Snelling's monotonous drone works better than Cold Tit's emulsified soporific.
Very funny. Anyway, it's a burglary at the Hambrook Flower Shop.
A burglary, eh? How dull. At least we'll have enough time to get a drink afterwards.
You seem awfully certain of that.
I am. In fact, I'd bet the devil my head that we're done within the hour.
Check 2.
Well, the
Check
devil's
2.
going to be disappointed that his winnings
Check
are so
2.
meager.
Interesting. Doesn't seem to be honoring my mic mute.
Ah, we've arrived. After you, Bill. Thank you. Keep the change.
And so, our night of excitement begins.
You, more than anyone else, should know that there's rarely a dull night in Chumley.
I have a feeling tonight will be the exception. Until we get to the pub, that is.
Keep your mind on the case, Bill. Now let's get a move on. Certainly looks cozy in there.
Plants have a nice way of doing.
Looks like they've had some trouble.
Pretty much every business.
That reminds me. I should pick up a bouquet for Addie when we're done here.
Seems like you've been spending more time with me than with her lately. I sure hope she's not the jealous type. Fordham, what are you doing?
I was gonna check inside this trash can for clues.
Miles, in the 15 years we've been partners, how many times have you found something inside a trash can that wasn't garbage?
Fair point. I can't believe that thing made it all the way across the Atlantic in less than a week.
Don't scoff at the future, Miles. Pretty soon, we'll all be riding those things to work.
Especially considering Prince Harold is their big celebrity passenger. Glad this thing is lit. This isn't really the type of place I'd prefer to be at this time of night.
Don't worry, Miles. I've got your back.
Glad this thing is...
Don't...
Come on, Bill.
Charming little place, isn't it?
Charming, but empty. We need to find the owner.
Always so to the point, Fordham. If ever there was a better time to stop and smell the flowers.
I think I'll leave that to you, Bill.
With my allergies? Hardly.
Not too many left. Seems business isn't...
Well, you know what they say. There are only 3 certainties in life. Death, taxes, and people taking advantage of sales.
This is quite the selection. Come over here and take a whiff, Bill.
Sure, if you don't mind me getting snot all over your coat.
Oh, no, not the Myers case all over again. On second thought, you can just stay over there. These prices are pretty reasonable. The place I'd go in Worcester's clearly robbing me blind.
If you think those are bad, don't go near the flower shops in Lyon.
These seem to be part of the watering system for the flowers.
I haven't seen old piping like this in a while. Seems like someone's reluctant to upgrade.
It says private.
Well, that's one mystery solved.
Mostly a bunch of fertilizer and growth tonics.
Growth tonics, eh?
Plant growth tonics, Bill.
Of course. I knew that.
Plants hanging on hooks. Nice space-saving method.
I'd probably bang my head against them constantly if I had them in my apartment.
Be right there.
Oh, hello, gentlemen. I must say you caught me by surprise. I was preparing to close soon. May I help you find anything? The flowers in the center display are half price this week, and I have a special on chrysanthemums today. Or perhaps a custom bouquet for the special ladies in your lives?
I have no need myself, but maybe Adelaide would appreciate a little something. Eh, Miles? Those peonies in the corner look nice.
I'm afraid we're not here as customers tonight, ma'am. We'd like to have a word with the proprietor. Is he in?
I see. I'm Cecilia Handbook, and this is my shop. What can I do for you, gentlemen?
I'm Detective Miles Fordham, and this is my partner, William Legere. We received a report of a burglary at your store.
A report? From whom? I never contacted the police before, and I didn't this time, either.
It was made anonymously, but are you saying this isn't the first time it's happened?
Correct. It's happened 3 times. But considering the police hardly care about the daily muggings and vandalisms around here, I didn't think they would be interested in something so trivial.
Well, we're here now, and we'll do all we can to help you.
We'll have to see about that.
If you wouldn't mind, Mrs. Handbrook, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Very well, Detective.
Could you give me the details concerning the burglaries?
About 3 weeks ago on Monday, I noticed that my order of Easter lilies was missing. At first, I thought nothing of it. Sometimes certain types of flowers are unavailable or arrive in poor condition. These things happen. Then 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, it happened again. But this time, I noticed something rather odd.
Go on.
When I opened the shop, there were 6 crowns and 10 shillings on the counter. That's exactly the cost of 2 orders of lilies. Last Friday, it happened yet again. The lilies were missing, and there was payment for 1 order on the counter. I believe that someone has been breaking into my shop after hours, taking the lilies, and leaving money behind.
How unusual. Have you noticed any suspicious characters lurking around?
Detective Fordham, this is Chumley. You can't throw a stone without hitting a suspicious character. And if you've noticed my window, you'd be aware that stones get thrown around quite a bit in this neighborhood. If you're looking for trouble, you're far more likely to find it out there than in here.
I meant if you'd seen anyone out of the ordinary near your shop.
Only the 2 men from the police who entered it tonight. That is most definitely out of the ordinary.
Have you found any evidence of a break-in?
No, the front door is always locked. My assistant Trevor and I are the only ones with the key.
Are there any other points of access to the building?
The upstairs windows, I suppose, but I make sure to keep them locked, and neither of them have been broken.
Would you allow us to have a look upstairs?
Is that really necessary? I was just about to close up the shop.
It won't take but a moment.
Fine, I suppose you may, but please, don't dally too long.
So, this burglar has been paying for the stolen goods?
That would appear to be the case, yes. I really don't think this could even be considered a crime. That's one of the reasons I didn't bother reporting it to the police.
And the other reasons?
Oh, I think I've already made those quite clear, Detective.
You mentioned your assistant has the other shop key. What can you tell me about him?
His name is Trevor Hastings, and he has been working for me for the past 10 years.
Do you trust him?
Implicitly. I've known him for ages, and he has been my full-time assistant since shortly after my husband died. You're not suggesting he had anything to do with this, are you?
Not at all. I would like to speak with him, though. Where might I find him?
It's Friday, so he should be on his way back from the docks right now. He'll be bringing my flower order within the hour.
Good. We'll meet him here, then. If that's all right with you.
I suppose I don't really have much of a choice, do I?
Have you been in business long?
Yes, I opened this shop 30 years ago, along with my late husband, David. But the past 10 years, I've been running things on my own.
Don't you feel unsafe being here by yourself so late into the night?
Detective, when you've lived in this part of town as long as I have, it takes quite a lot to scare you.
I think that's all the information I need for now.
All right, Detective.
Got a minute, Bill?
For you, Miles, I've got 5.
I've heard of honor among thieves. Have you ever known a thief to pay for stolen goods?
Perhaps conducting normal business is just too boring for him. Do you think he might be doing it for the thrill?
There could be any number of reasons. The best way to find out is to catch the culprit and ask him ourselves. You ever miss living out here, Bill?
About as much as you missed stepping in that pile of horseshit last week.
I was distracted by that story you were telling me about your sister. How's she doing out west, anyway?
Well, she's not in the chum, so fantastic. Living here was about as fun as wearing a vest made of meat to a dogfight. I'm glad we both managed to get out. Oh, and by the way, Miles, you didn't do such a great job of cleaning your shoes.
That would explain all the funny looks I've been getting. Still feeling rough, Bill?
Yes, but I'll feel better once this case is finished and we can go down to the Angel for a pint or 4.
Hair of the dog?
No better medicine.
When's the last time you took any time off?
That's a good question. What year is this again?
I think we've both been working a bit too much lately. Addie's been wanting to go visit her mother in Dixie. Maybe we can all go.
That sounds nice, but I wouldn't want to be a third wheel on a visit to your in-laws. Unless... Would Adelaide's brother be there by any chance?
You're incorrigible, Bill.
It's one of my finer qualities.
Got any opinions on the upcoming election?
I'll just be glad when it's all over. Seems like the last few months have been nothing but people giving opinions and telling me what to do without a moment's peace.
I know what you mean. I already saw some kids putting up Atwood posters down my street.
I already drew mustaches in all the ones on my street.
Handlebar?
Yeah, you know me too well.
I always thought of Atwood as more of a Van Dyke type of man myself.
I can see that. Yeah. Well, there's something to do tomorrow.
You enjoying this weather? It's a nice evening for it, not too hot. I find a bit of fresh air always helps clear out the mental cobwebs.
It's just too bad the air in the chum is about as fresh as a week-old corpse. At any rate, it'll be winter before you know it. The whole city will be shut down, and we'll be digging bodies out from under the snowbanks.
Always something to look forward to. The ferry ride over was surprisingly uneventful, don't you think?
I know. It doesn't really feel like a visit to the chum without seeing at least one fistfight. Oh well, there's always the ride back.
What's your impression of dear old Mrs. Hanbrook?
I like her. Good old-fashioned, tough-as-nails Chumley woman. Reminds me of my mother.
Your mother was never quite so stubborn. Why do you suppose she's so reluctant to accept our help?
It's a chum thing, Miles. You wouldn't understand.
Let's get back to it.
All right. Interesting choice of decor in here.
Perhaps it wasn't always used as a storeroom, although I can understand why it would have been converted.
Yeah, it is rather drafty in here.
Pastoral landscape. Definitely nowhere near here.
I've never much understood art, but it would be nice to see a place like that in person.
I would imagine that keeping a consistent temperature in here is important for the flowers.
When do you suppose this contraption was last serviced?
Hard to say. Definitely not recently, if the dust buildup is any indication. Interesting. There's a gap between the window and the frame here. No wonder it's so drafty in this room. The window latch, securely locked. I wonder.
What are you thinking, Fordham?
That it's time for an experiment. I'm going to need a tool, however. Something long and thin should do the trick.
Shouldn't be too hard to find something like that around here.
Interesting. This provides a means of escape from the top floor, or access to this window from the ground.
It looks like I need to find something long and thin to go outside and jimmy the window.
A rather distinguished-looking gentleman.
Reminds me of Captain Snelling, if he ever smiled.
A young lady. Perhaps a relation of Mrs. Hanbrook?
I can see the resemblance. Sort of.
Seems to be the broken pot storage area.
Why not just throw them away, I wonder?
It's likely they're going to be repaired. I noticed some faint cracks in some of the pots downstairs. I've seen this type of device before. It's a special container for growing plants. Specific temperature and water conditions can be adjusted. Seems to be empty right now, though. And judging by the dust, it hasn't been used in a long time, if ever.
It seems Mrs. Hanbrook isn't too fond of steam tech, or just doesn't understand it.
Unmarked, but if the smell is anything to go by, this is where the flowers are stored when delivered.
I'll keep my distance then.
I don't think this window would serve as a viable means of...
It's a nice view, though. You can hardly see the vomit and manure piles on the street from up here.
Pastoral landscape.
I never much understood.
Bill?
What's going on?
A gap in the window up...
Do you think it might be the point of...
Indeed. I just need to find something long and thin to confirm.
I think you were born with something like that.
You're disgusting, Bill.
I know.
Let's get back to it.
All right.
These seem to be part of the watering system.
I haven't seen...
I have a few more questions.
Very well, Detective.
Mrs. Hanbrook, were you aware that there's a gap in the frame of the small upstairs window?
Is there? I only go up there to check that the window is locked. I've never noticed a gap. Are you suggesting that's how the burglar is entering the store?
It's a distinct possibility, but I have yet to figure out exactly how.
Well, I trust you'll come to a satisfactory conclusion, Detective.
I think that's all the information I need for now.
All right, Detective. Yes, I'm right here.
Aha! This hook is exactly what I need. Mrs. Hanbrook, may I borrow this hook for a few minutes? It's crucial to our investigation.
Is that so?
Yes, I promise I'll put it back as soon as I'm done.
Please do, Detective.
No point wasting time.
You finally learned.
This is definitely the right...
know how I want to use it. I don't know if... I assumed there was a way to get to the fire escape from outside, but it wasn't anything obvious.
The window latch. Good. Bill, it's time for our experiment.
And what is this experiment going to be exactly?
Simple. I'm going to see if this hook can get me inside the shop. Rather dark out here.
Watch your step, then. This experiment of yours isn't worth a broken neck.
I'll be fine. Now then, could you please close and lock the window, Bill? Well, I'd say this is fairly incontrovertible proof that the building can easily be broken into without arousing suspicion.
Where'd you learn how to do that, anyway?
You taught me, remember?
Nah. Are you sure it was me?
Positive. We were a few pints in at the Angel about 5 years ago, and you decided I should learn how to pick locks.
What else have I taught you how to do while drunk?
That would be telling.
Ah, Trevor.
Evening, Cecilia. I've got the order ready to bring in.
Trevor, these are Detectives Fordham and Leger. They say there's been a report about the burglaries, and they're here investigating.
I only did it because I think it's been going on too long. As much as you want to, we can't handle this ourselves.
We can discuss the matter later. In the meantime, the detective would like a word with you.
I'll be needing to bring in the flowers first, if that's all right. Otherwise, some hooligan's likely to run off with them.
My partner will keep an eye on your flowers. Bill, would you mind?
Ah, the glamour of police work.
Now, Mr. Hastings, if I could ask you a few questions?
Go on, then.
What can you tell me about the recent burglaries?
I wish Cecilia had contacted you a lot sooner. She's a damn fine woman. But sometimes I think she'd rather jump in a rose bush than ask for help. Had to take matters into my own hands. This needs taken care of, and we can't do it on our own, as much as Cecilia would like to. Anyhow, alls I know is someone's been making off with some flowers and leaving money behind. No idea who it could be, how they're getting in, or why they even bother paying. In my day, if you robbed a place, you did it the right way. It's a sad state of affairs when even burglars don't do their jobs correctly.
Do you have much experience with burglary, Mr. Hastings?
Now, I never said that, detective.
Have you noticed anyone or anything suspicious around here recently?
Nothing but the usual roughnecks, ragamuffins, and drunkards. Like I said, it's a real mystery.
Could you walk me through the process of your deliveries?
Of course, there's no great science to it. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoons, Cecilia gives me her list of flowers to pick up from the wholesalers. I head over to Gascon around sunset when they get their shipment, and I give them her order. They load up the crate, I pay for it, and then I lug it back here.
How long does that take?
Between moving the crate and getting it across the river on the ferry, a couple of hours. Usually the store's closed by then, so I use my key to get in and leave the crate inside for Cecilia to open in the morning. That's all there is to it. Told you it wasn't very complicated.
Do you ever leave the crate unattended during that time?
No, sir. Never more than a minute. I may be old, but I got good eyes. I'd see if there were anything amiss. Besides that, I check to make sure the crate is still sealed when I drop it off. I'm not about to let Cecilia down by being careless.
How long have you been working for Mrs. Hanbrook?
Been about 10 years now, I reckon. I used to help with deliveries now and then when it was her and David, her husband. But after he passed, she offered to make me her assistant. Unfortunate way to get it, but I needed the work. Used to be I had a job at one of the airship yards, but they let me go after I was injured by one of those newfangled steam machines. So the offer came at a good time. Besides that, Cecilia needed looking after, even though she'd never admit it. If I'm being honest, we're both getting a bit long in the tooth. Not sure how much longer we'll be keeping this up, but as long as I'm upright and breathing, I'll be bringing these crates along, even if it is murder on my back.
I admire your work ethic.
I've got a job to do. Not enough people these days seem to respect that.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Hastings. I'll let you get back to work.
Appreciate it, Detective. If you don't mind, Detective, I still need to check the crate before I bring it in.
Of course. Thank you again for your help.
What did you need, Tammy? Did you call for me?
Learn anything?
Possibly. I may have an idea.
Okay.
Ah, you're being cryptic. That's always a good sign. But if you've got a plan, let's talk about it.
That's all. I'm gonna go to Target soon. Do you want to go with me?
Sure.
Get to a stopping point and let me know.
Oh, I completely forgot I have no mute on this. Sorry.